Hey guys, welcome back to another video of Legend of Runeterra. This time we are continuing the series of ranking every champion based on region. This time we are going with Bilgewater. Bilgewater champions have a very high effect based on indirect damage for most of them, or a very high survivability and cheap shot tactics. They are quite funny to annoy other enemies. We are going to start with Misfortune. Misfortune is a 3 mana cost unit with 3 damage, 3 HP. When an ally attacks, she deals 1 to all battling enemy and the enemy nexus. Once she attacks 4 times, she evolves, and now she will deal 1 when other attack, deal 1 3 times to all battling enemy and the enemy nexus. With her, you need to keep in mind is that if the enemy has stuff which reduce 1 damage from all sources, Misfortune is basically over. But as a carry, Misfortune is a perfect carry, because it depends on... yeah, it's perfect carry. As long as you have a unit that attack, you will always get benefit from her. And there are quite a few cards that can allow even her damage to become 2, 3, 4 and even up to 10. I think the maximum I did on her video was 10 damage in one attack. So she can be quite powerful as long as you build around her. As a support, she is okay. It depends on the deck, not okay. So as long as you have a deck that have a lot of attacks, she is perfect support. But if you have a deck that is focused more on defensive, that she is no good. It's not worth it to have her there. Now we have Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate, sorry, not Campbell, Twisted, yes. When you play Twisted Fate, he is a 4 mana cost unit with quick attack, which means he will attack before the enemy blocker. Once you play him, he will play a Destiny card. Destiny card mean he will give you Twisted Fate, pick a card, and you can pick either blue card, red card, or gold card. One will give you mana and draw, one will deal 1 to all enemy and the enemy nexus. Gold card will deal 2 to enemy and stun the strongest enemy. Once you draw 9 cards, Twisted Fate will have the ability that each round, the first 3 times you play a card, you will play a Destiny card in this particular order. So, as a carry, Twisted Fate really cannot be that useful, because for him to evolve, he need to have supporting allies. You can make a deck around him that will draw more cards, that will allow you to draw cards more often, but in that case you will either have your hand full or you need too much mana. And waiting 9 turns to have him naturally, so it will cost way too much mana for him to be any viable. He need a supporting ally, a supporting champion to make him work great. As a support, he is okay. Either way, if you can wait for him until he evolves, that's good. If not, he is not worth it. There is no deck that I can see Twisted Fate being really good at. Maybe Echo, but even that is a bit forced. So we move on to Nautilus, the hyper carry of Bilgewater. Nautilus is a 7 mana cost unit with Fearsome, which means can only be blocked by enemy with 3 or more power, and Tough, will take 1 less damage from all sources. he have 0 power and 12 HP. When you are deep, which means you have 15 or less cards in your deck, he will level up. When I level up, he will copy tossed ally that I cost 4 plus into your deck. So any ally that you non-champion ally that you get rid of by other cards will go back into your deck, as long as they cost 4 or more. Once he evolve, he become a 13 power, 13 HP Juggernaut that will allow sea monster allies to cost 4 or less. Sea monster allies are very powerful but quite costly unit. So making them 4 or less is basically putting them as free, especially that they are all have the deep keyword, and they all will have 3 attack and 3 defense, plus 3 attack and plus 3 defense once he evolves. So as a carry, he is a perfect carry. As long as you organize your deck around him, and you can reach the late game for him to be summoned, you are guaranteed to win. But as a support, it's basically don't bother unless you have Maokai in your with him. He is not worth it, and even then it's mostly Maokai that is supporting, not Nautilus. So it's don't bother basically. So let's go to Jack. Jack is a 4 mana cost unit with a brush, which means can only be blocked by enemy with 3 or more health. Every time he strike, he creates a coin in hand. A coin is a stackable burst spell that costs 1 mana. For each stack of coin, you will get 1 mana back. That is not a spell mana. So you can use it to switch your spell mana to regular mana. But it's only good if you are waiting for, if you stack it up. But you need to make sure that you don't have, that you don't spend more mana than what you can afford. So it will only fill up into your empty mana gem, not more. Once you spend 12 mana in 1 round, Jack will evolve, create 2 coins, and when he strike, he now have Overwhelm, which means excess damage he deal to his blocker is dealt to the enemy nexus. Every time he strike, he create 2 coins in hand, and when you refill mana, either with coin or other units, he will get +1 attack for each mana refilled. So the longer this goes on, the better it is for Jack, but his health is a bit of an issue. As a carry, Jack depends on support. You can make him very powerful, but he is not I am going to win this game because Jax evolves, so I am going to win the game. You need somebody with him. As a support, he is okay. He can be put in many different decks, but you need to have a synergy with him. So if you need to spend mana, so very high cost can be useful, but most of the time it's not really worth it in the current state. So we move on to Gangplank. When summoned, Gangplank is a 5 mana cost unit with Overwhelm, and when summoned he will summon a Power Craig. A Power Craig will allow him that it's a unit that cannot attack or defend. It has vulnerable, so the enemy can challenge this unit, forcing it to block. All your spell and skills deal 1 extra damage. So if you attack, for example, with Misfortune, she will, instead of dealing 1 damage, she will deal 1 plus the number of the powder kegs, because they can stack. Every time, but after they deal the damage, you destroy the powder keg when you deal damage to the enemy with spells or abilities. Once you damage the enemy nexus in 5 different rounds, Gangplank will evolve. Every start of the round, he will have a powder keg, and when he attack, he will deal 1 to all enemies and the enemy nexus. So he has, when he evolves, he will have the bonus of misfortune. That he will add to it every round at least a powder keg. So as a carry, Gangplank doesn't really need that much support for him to be good. As long as you can deal 5 different times damage to the enemy nexus in 5 different rounds, you are set to go, and you only get more powerful the more you can wait out the game. As a support, he depends on the deck, and funnily enough, usually I like to play him with misfortune, as you can see, because if he attack with misfortune on the field, he will deal at least 2 damage with the powder keg, and misfortune will deal 2 damage both to all enemies and the enemy nexus. So that is 4 damage that can basically take care of most units in the game. But if you put him, for example, with another support ally, it's really hard to judge how it will go. It's really unpredictable. Okay, let's go now to Tahm Kench. With Tahm Kench is a 4 mana cost unit. When summoned or round start, you will create Acquired Taste. Acquired Taste will allow Tahm Kench to swallow an enemy unit if it strike him before, but after that he capture it. Capture mean he remove it from the field, but if Tahm Kench die, it can come back again. To evolve, Tahm Kench need to capture 3 units. When he level up, he will obliterate my captured enemy and release my ally. So if you use him to capture your allies for protection, they come back on the field, but you need to make sure that you have space for them or they are obliterated as well. As you can see, he has 2 power but 6 health, so kinda high health. Once he evolved, every time he attack, he obliterate the captured enemy and release his ally. So Tahm Kench is most probably okay as a carry, because you need to have in your hand a way to always heal him. So you need to either give him regeneration and to give him even more defense if you are playing against high damage units, or else he is useless. As a defense, he is okay. So because as you can see, an Acquired Taste is a 2 mana cost spell, which is powerful, but it will always not worth it's most of the time not worth it to use it to defend against an enemy. If you are playing against a spammable unit, which means low damage, high number, Tahm Kench can be quite good. So because if they have a few tricky units like Teemo or Caitlyn or I don't know, Fizz for example, he is good. But if you are playing against the Deep or against Lurk, he become quite useless quite fast. So for him, he's okay close to dot ban. He can be clutch, so that's why I put him as okay, and he's quite cheap relatively, so okay. Now we have Pyke. Pyke is a different kind of hyper carry from Nautilus. Pike is a 4 cost mana spell unit with quick attack, which means he strikes before his blocker, and lurk. When you attack and the top ally on your deck, the top unit on your deck has the lurk effect, it gives all lurkers ally everywhere +1 attack, max once per round. So every round that pass, you have the potential to get +1 attack damage. When Pike lurk, so he is the top unit, the top card on your deck, transform himself into Death from Below, which will summon Pike striking an enemy. This is powerful because once allied Pike, so all Pikes together, have dealt 15 plus damage, Pike will evolve, and when he kills an enemy, he will strike the weakest enemy. If he can kill the weakest enemy, he will strike the next weakest enemy. And since you have lurk, by the time you can reach by 4 or 5 rounds in the correct deck, you can have +5 +6 damage. So even if he has 1 damage at the beginning, by the time you are attacking with him, it will be 6 damage, 5 damage, 4 damage, 7 damage, which is kinda crazy. So if you can get him going, it's basically a GG. He is very powerful against spammable units, but not as good against very high HP units. Unless, of course, you can wait for the late game. As a carry, meaning you have a deck made specifically for him, he is a perfect carry. As long as you can reach the 7th round, you can clear the field with him alone. But as a defensive unit, so unless you have him in weak against Rek'Sai, it's don't bother. There is only one champ that you can put Pike with him, it's Rek'Sai, and that is because she as well has lurk. So don't bother close even to not worth it. I will put him as not worth just to put him something here. Okay. Next we have Nami. Nami is a 3 mana cost unit with Attune keyword, which when summoned it will refill 1 spell mana. When you play a spell, it will grant +1 attack damage to the weakest other ally than itself that doesn't have the immobile keyword. I mean, it needs to be a unit that can either attack or defend. Once you gain +8 spell mana, mean you need to leave to fill your spell mana 8 times for her to evolve. Now when you play a spell, it will give +2 instead of +1 to the weakest other ally that isn't immobile. So this is the worst carry in Bilgewater, because the whole deal with her is that you need to spend a lot of mana and not a lot of spell mana, but keeping your actual mana free, so that you can spend your mana to use spells that will make your other units more powerful. There are quite few cards that can kill it, and if you put it with Attune units, they are not that strong since it only gives +1 attack damage. So they are easy to kill, which make it really hard to have a very high hyper carry units on your deck. As a support, on the other hand, it's a perfect support. As long as you have it in your deck, even if you have it in a deck that focuses on spells, you will easily get your units more powerful and you'll easily get her to evolve. If you put her in a deck that focuses on defense mean you will use your spells defensively, which mean you will put your very high HP units with more damage. And if you put her in an attack damage, as long as you use a few spells, you will make your damage units more powerful. All of that for 3 mana. That is basically if you have a Bilgewater deck, you need to have Nami if you have the space for it, basically. So now we go to Illaoi, our last champion. So with Illaoi, attack spawn, she's a 4 mana cost unit with Overwhelm, which means it will deal to her blocker the excess damage. The excess damage to the blocker will be dead to the enemy nexus. When she attacks, she spawns 1 tentacle. Spawn a tentacle is a 1 mana cost, 1 HP and 1 damage. That 1 HP, 1 damage unit that can stack infinitely. So if you have 2 tentacles, it will be a 1 mana cost with 2 attack, 2 HP, etc. So then after it spawn 1, it will gain power equal to your strongest tentacles for this round. So after the round, she go back to normal. Once she see herself or allied tentacle deal 15 damage, means she need to be on the field when this happened. She will evolve, and now when you spawn a tentacle, it will increase its value by 1. So the tentacle per default will get +1 attack and defense per tentacle. When she attacks, she will still spawn the 1 tentacle, then fully heal your strongest tentacle, and it will get stats equal to its stats this round. So instead of gaining only the power, even her HP will reach the same as the strongest tentacle that she has. So as a carry, it needs a support. There is not enough cards to spawn tentacles, and even the ones that are there, as long as you kill the tentacle as they spawn, she loses a lot of momentum. So she needs a support that can carry if she die, or that can improve the effect. As a support, it's not worth it. Unless you have quite a few tentacles, the tentacles don't matter, and if you don't have enough tentacles, Illaoi doesn't matter. So that is my take on Bilgewater. Please put in the comment what you think about my take. If you have a change to this ranking, I like to hear it. Hope you like this video. If you do, please share, subscribe, hit the notification button, and put in the comment what other ideas you like to see next. Ciao.